Well, guys, you know what? I decided to do something different. I decided to, for the first time, instead of me doing a pre-recorded video, I'm testing out live. So the whole purpose of me doing this right now is to trying to look at the camera quality, see how it's going to be when you guys kind of tune in and just check us out. One, I want to thank everybody who took the opportunity to watch any of CFS Studio videos. We go all the way back when we first started. Nate hosts way back in June of last year of 2021. Even though the channel been up since 2020, Nate and Josue and I and the rest of the team at CFS Studios, we just sat down. We began to build upon what the concept was to provide content, and not just any content, content that allow you to that's usable. I think a lot of YouTube channels content you either have education or you have entertainment. We wanted a mixture of both. I think more or less, if you're watching our channel, some of it can be entertaining, but our goal is really to be educational. My background is a little different than most individuals. I come from a background of going to college, microbiology, organic chemistry, biochemist by very nature. Uh, so getting into business, understanding what business was coming out of college, I always thought it was very unique. It all started for me really when just in middle school, looking at a person who found themselves, and I just be quite honest with you, they found themselves in a situation where they had valedictorian and salutatorian. I was always curious to me how those valedictorian and salutatorian was in school, and they were going to get promoted to the next grade, the next part of their career. So you go from high school graduation to college graduation for your preliminary 4 years, and if you're going to get your master's, you go through that, and now you go on to doctorate again, continue. There's always a valedictorian, but at the end of the day, to this day, at least in my experience, I haven't had one valedictorian that graduated with me from any level of education, from K through 12 all the way to college, that actually operates a business. And I always found that to be unique because valedictorians are the smartest people in the academic parameter. I mean, this is what their scholar educational background preserves, but the best they can do is get educated by getting a job and getting in a better position. So they actually fight with underclassmen. They fight with the ones that they consider to be, I'm the smartest and you're intelligent, but you're not intelligent as me. So that always kind of, I thought it was very curious because valedictorians are not running public traded companies. I don't know of any. Now, please correct me in the comments if you know somebody who actually a valedictorian, they graduated and they're actually running a public traded company and they're growing their company at 8% or 10% or 40% a year, then trust me, I appreciate that. Please correct me. I love correction. Correction is teleportation for me. Most people don't like correction, so they don't like to be teleported. Some of your blessings that you're going to have in life are not located in the area where you are actually being distracted at. You could be, you may have to move to Dallas, Texas, or move to New York, even though most people don't want to move to New York right now. At the same time, if your blessings is not in your current state, you got to be prepared to move. And then most people just not. They feel that I can gain what I want to gain in a position where the blessing can't even be received. So as I'm testing out this camera to do our first live stream before we take the position to be live streaming in general, I just want to point out three things. And these three things I think is just as important to me as it should be important to you is this. What are you going to do differently today, tomorrow? I mean, at the end of the day, you have to grow. My statement I tell everybody in the office at times when I walk in is this: I'm a new man today. I'm not the same man I was yesterday. And they were like, well, what do you mean by that? Because I died. That person who may not be as humble as he should be, he's gone. He don't even exist no more. One of the funniest things is if you actually learn, grow, and die, I'm gonna tell you right now, two things gonna happen. One, any argument you ever had can only last until midnight. Two, you can never hold grudges. How come? That person got to die. So arguments don't last, grudges don't last. Uh, Three, people don't accept that though. I'm telling you, if you take the learn, grow, and die philosophy that I have established in my life, I'm going to tell you, people do not accept that. They're going to tell you to your face, no. What you said to me yesterday was harsh. I'm mad. I got to get justice. I'm not talking to you. I want to knock your head off your shoulders. But I had to adapt that philosophy because if you're going to be in business, you got to learn, grow, and die. You have to know that being stiff necked, my world concept, doesn't really exist. One of the greatest things is if you're going into business like I have gone into business, where people say, well, you own a company. My answer is no, I do not own a company. I work for a company. I am a stakeholder that works for a company, where I have the amount of control that I have is being able to influence decisions and make the best choices. So when money is allocated, it actually can come back with a return. So being an allocation specialist, being a completion specialist, all has to do with having a say so and steering a company in the right direction. Now, most of you, if you are out there in the marketplace today and you say, I want to start a business, most of the time it's for liberation or it's because of low self-esteem. I'm just going to tell you this. Don't start a business because you got low self-esteem. Don't do it. Your self-esteem will get worse. Don't start a business because you want liberation. I'm tell you, you're not going to be liberated. Starting a business has to do with jobs and housing. I mean, when you see the House or the Senate, they passing these stimulus bills, that is so that the parents who have children today that are sending their kids to elementary K through 12, any parent is sending a child to college so they can get a job. So you got to understand that your philosophy of you going out there and starting a company so that you can get a job goes stark against what a parent is doing. See, if you're gonna go out here and start a company, you have to really think about it and take a step back and say, what am I doing this for? Please don't do it for because you got low self-esteem. Definitely don't do it because you want liberation, because you're not gonna get that. You're gonna actually constantly grow. You're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna wish you never did it. Whatever you're thinking of, like you're gonna get some status. Truth be told is if you're gonna start a company, it's a very humbling thing to do. First, you're looking at creating something that consumers can need, so you're a servant. And if you struggle and you feel that people don't acknowledge you, I mean, next time go to a restaurant, look at all the servants. Some people are serving, some people are distracted. Yet you go to a restaurant, sometimes people don't come back to your table. You got to tip them. Well, that's you in the marketplace. How your hours are going to be? What situation you're going to be set up to meet today? I mean, every company has a problem. Every consumer has a problem, and what we bring to the marketplace is solutions for those problems. Most of the time, a person starting a business and they want to bring a solution for themselves. Oh, this will help me make more money. Well, you already have a allocation issue because half the money you spend is not for returns, it's for image. That's low self-esteem. You shouldn't go to I get it. We live in a society that people tell you that your self-esteem is external. It has to be based on. I watched a video recently after, I won't speak on the situation at hand. I just say I watched a situation where a gentleman made an unwise decision and the whole world saw it. Okay. That's the decision he made. Now, as a business, the business had to make some decisions and the business made one. And that business decided that, at least for our organization and what we need to make money and how we make money, that person not going to affect it. These things take place. But what do you do? Is your situation because you're looking for liberation or you're looking because you got an ego? Don't start a business for that. If anything, you need to go past the local elementary school. You want to go past the local junior high and the local high school. Then after that, ride to your colleges in your state. And I want you to look at all those kids. Every one of those young kids and now young adults are looking for someone who's going to go out and create a job. Now you say you want to go start a company for you to get a job. You might as well take all the people you just saw and delete them. They don't exist, because that's what you do when you create a company for yourself. You actually eliminate anyone else who sends that child for any form of education. You just totally destroy it. Now, what makes it unique is that when you take it from a standpoint of being a entrepreneur, this term has become one of the most overused, over-exaggerated, manipulated term. An entrepreneur, by its very nature, and what you're using it for are two separate things. Now, a person who has a company that they taken public more than once is considered an entrepreneur. Most people who consider themselves an entrepreneur is talking about really being a sales associate for a product that they're selling, that they buy wholesale and then sell retail. And they say they're an entrepreneur. No, you're a sales associate. You're not an entrepreneur. You can use this term because most people do. They're going to use terms negating of the meaning and redefine words. The reality is you considered a sales representative, like a franchisee. Sometimes you see, if you go out to eat, there's franchises. You got the Burger King, you got Dairy Queen, you have McDonald's, you got you name it is out there. Chick-fil-A for most people. You got the restaurants, you got Starbucks, and you can own a Starbucks by being a franchisee. What are you really, a sales associate for each one of these individuals for the main corporation? You don't have a say-so in the main corporation. You actually buy a franchise, become the financial arm for the main corporation, and you flow cash to the main corporation, and they pay you a royalty fee as a sales associate. That's what you do. So a lot of times I'll meet somebody and they say, well, I have a franchise. Well, can you, as a franchise, can you take that franchise public? Absolutely not. Only the main corporation can take it public. So it tells you you're just a financial arm. Yet you can say, well, I'm a business owner. No, you're a sales associate for a financial arm of the franchise. That's what you are. But to say that to somebody in stark contrast means a person will get their feelings hurt. And if a person will get their feelings hurt, most people don't want to say it. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can find out that a franchisee or a person who works at it, they actually do provide jobs from their business. But overall, how many will you provide if you got one? So if you're going to go out and start a business today, I'm just going to ask some direct questions. If you're just tuning into the live stream, the goal of this is to put some factors out there so you begin to see. Most of you have never came in contact with me. And since you never came in contact with me, my personality can be very strong, direct. Sometimes my goal is not to be offensive, but it is to make you think. If you have a personality that's on the edge of you can't handle correction. Now, remember, my definition of correction is not to humiliate you. It is to move you from where you're at right now into a position where you can find yourself. Now, if you like me, I'm an immigrant, which means I'm not a native of the state I live in. And I'm not a native to the country. I'm not a native, native to the world, yes, but not to the area. I just so happen moved to this area where I am now, where I conduct business. Now, the reason why I'm pointing that out, because you need to have that understanding. If you're going to check out CFS Studios and ever watch any of Primo talks, then you have to know that some of the things I'm going to talk about is really from personal experience, but more than personal experience, it's from interacting with inexperience. What is the one thing that people want? They want information, but you don't want knowledge. And that's why I tell people, if you come to me and you're asking for knowledge, definition of what words mean, but no emotional understanding of how to apply those words, do those words, and do it without feeling, because experience negates the emotion. It doesn't mean you don't have emotion. It just negates it. When you functioning every day and you say you want to be a business owner, you're going to have to learn how to literally turn off your emotions. Doesn't mean that you're not human. No, it means that you're a servant. And as a servant, you're going to come in contact with some people who are bitter, angry, foolish, not wise. I'm just going to be honest with you. They're not going to do what they need to do. How is that going to affect you? Let me just explain to you right now. If you want to do things that's going to help you become better as a business owner, you got to be around people who do business. You can't be around people who don't do business. I want to give a shout out for that person who just gave that 100%. I definitely appreciate that. Again, today, if you just come into our channel at CFS Studios, here's the thing. I always give 3 promises. If you're a business owner, let me give you tip number 1. Tip number 1 is this: do not go in business by yourself. I understand that you want to go into business. Do not go into business by yourself. Find individuals who don't have the same mindset as you. Find individuals who are going to actually say, listen, I want to go into business with you. I want to be a co-founder, or I want to be a partner in what you're doing. But here's the catch. I want to make sure that I have a say-so that the company can last forever. Find a group of people to go into business with like that. Do not go into business with a bunch of people say we're going to be rich. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because before you can become wealthy, you got to gain the skills. Money is a byproduct of a set of skills. The same way when you first got your first job, you got paid. It could have been minimum wage or right above minimum wage. And then every year you gain more experience, you made more money. So that's going to be the key. Let me give you another secret. If you're a foreigner, especially as an immigrant coming to the U.S., if you're a foreigner, this is one of the first things I realized. If you don't live in the U.S. and you have any services and gifts and talents that you can do, here's the thing. Stop selling your gifts and talents. You meet a business owner in the U.S. and they need some assistance. You want to be very clear. Let me give you 3 things you need to do. I gave 1 before. Don't go in business by yourself. But if you're a foreigner and you don't live in the U.S., I don't care if you live in Canada, Australia, the UK, If you got gifts and talents and you were working with somebody out of the United States, this is what you're going to do. Okay, instead of trying to make temporary money, go for wealth. See, what ends up happening is that you look at things on a short-term basis. Here, I come into this country, into the United States as a child, and then as being in this country, before that, and then bringing my family back in 2010 back into the US. Here's the thing I tell people this. Here was the greatest gift. I knew how to talk to people in the United States of America and say this. This is what you want done. I'm fully aware that you don't have somebody in your team. Are you willing to allow me to use time, my time? Like I live in a different country. I don't have the same financial currency that you have, but I got time. If I use my time and I help your business, could I be part of your business? Can I become part of your team? That person may or may not say yes, but let's assume they're going to say yes. And if they say no, I'm going to give you a comeback. So if they say yes, then this is what you're going to do. Okay, no problem. One, figure out they got a C corp. If they have a C corp, not a. Now, what I mean by that, let me be very clear, because this needs to be very clear. Because if I don't give you clarification, then you can easily get yourself in the wrong position. You're asking that in the state level, in the state where they live, there's 50 states in the United States. Just so you know that in the 50 states, in their state, what legal entity did they choose to operate their business out of? If it is a C corp, you say, listen, I like to be an officer in your C corp, and I want to take the responsibility of the skill that you lack to bring that to the company. I cannot tell you, as an immigrant is not originally from the United States, let me tell you what that gives you a benefit from. If you become part of a C corp, you can file a document to come live in the US because you actually have a C corporation in the US. Most immigrants have never been told that. They just want to make money from the US. That's an easy passport to come into the US. Those one of those passports that you need to know. That person has a C corp, you want to be part of the officers. They can file a statement in their state where they operate out of and add your name. If they don't add your name and you can look it up in the state, don't provide your services. You want to make sure they add your name, because see, now you're an officer. How come that's important? Because anytime that today in today's society, one of the things I always see when I'm dealing with anybody is that they have an opportunity to do something different. And this is how you do it. If you're an immigrant and all these US companies, especially the ones who are sales driven, which means they're really not companies. I see a lot of these sell funnels on YouTube. I see a lot of individuals who got LLCs. If you look them up, they're one member. And then once you find out they're one member, that's called a disregarded LLC. It's really no difference between them and the company, to be quite honest with you. You have all these accountants that's incompetent. These accountants that's out in the marketplace, they make unwise choices. They are putting people in situations where the people are paying taxes. I mean, if you're an LLC and then you say, man, I'm always owing, you need to fire your CPA. Definitely fire your CPA like yesterday. But if you're a foreigner, and you live outside the US, and you know you have gifts and talents, and you know that you constantly trying to sell your services as being offshore, basically like a staff member, and they have a C corp, you want to really press upon them becoming part of that corporation. If you here locally and you got gifts and talents, you want to do the same thing. That doesn't matter if you're a foreigner or you're not a foreigner. You want to know that question. If they say they're LLC, don't do it. Because at the end of the day, an LLC is a total different makeup. The limitations on that is just sad, but most people keep going into that. And I continue to tell people, is Apple an LLC? Is Walmart an LLC? No. Sears was not an LLC. I wish accountants would do their jobs. I wish lawyers would do their job, because a lot of times these companies are being started by lawyers or accountants. And for those ones that started by the individual, which means they didn't go to an accountant or lawyer, I'm just going to say this. Then you have to understand that you're the one to blame. You're the one to blame because you didn't have enough information. Do not look for the cheapest thing to get established. You need to ask yourself this question. Am I creating a company that is going to be here when I'm dead? That the employees one day, Steve Jobs is no longer alive, yet Apple still exists. Walmart CEO hasn't worked at Walmart in years, Walton. However, his kids are now on the board. Some of they're the most wealthiest kids in the entire United States. And they're actually, I don't want to say the world, because the Crown Prince actually is the richest kid in the world. So I don't want to use that as an example, because there's a Crown Prince that's more wealthier than the Waltons. But from a standpoint of the position which I'm referring to. So if you're a foreigner and you're working with a C corporation, and they need work and they doing offshore. They're trying to mitigate the fact of growing their company, and they saying, well, I'm trying to get the cheapest fee. The reality, what they're saying is, I don't have that talent on the inside. In the society where we live today, everybody is subcontracting all of their work outside, which means there's no more complete companies. So you have a great advantage that you can take advantage of. Because, well, a great advantage if you understand what that advantage is, to be honest with you. If a company is saying, hey, I need help in sales, what they're really saying is, I don't have a complete company and I'm not a closer. You need to know what they're communicating. Man, I need more sales. They're not a closer. Now keep this in mind. If they're not a closer, they're not a complete company, and their company is not expanding, and their gifts and their services are not growing because they're not adding that employee. If you got to subcontract out to get more sales, then I want you to know you don't have a complete company. Go back to the drawing board, sit down with your people, put the proper people in place so that sales are inside your company. When you subbing it out, you don't have a complete company. You can say, well, I'm trying to reduce costs because I don't have to worry about healthcare. I don't have to worry about Medicaid. You can say all the stuff you want to, but what you're really telling me is that you lack a closer inside your organization and you're looking for other people to assist you in closing. I can tell you that any company that we consult with, the first thing we do is we fix the fact that they have leakage. What is leakage? Leakage is knowing that in tip number one, if you're going over to Australia, you're going over to India, you're going over to China, you're going to Vietnam, if you're going to any country, Singapore, and you having one of their citizens work on your company to do things from you, I don't care if it's creating a logo. If you have any of them doing that, you have to understand this one fundamental, that your company and inside your company, you lack a certain set of skills. See, because that's what the issue is. At the same time, those skills you don't have, you're trying to hide it by subbing it out. Don't hide it, fix it. You need to have somebody who's right there by you. That person that's over there, and I don't care if they're in India, that person should be part of your company. They shouldn't be subbing that out. How come? Because you have an issue bigger than paying. You have an issue which means that I lack that skill. So you got a weakness in your company. Now you have to realize this. If you can afford to pay somebody in India, you can afford to pay somebody to be in your company or be a partner in your company. This is the most psychologically most ignorant thing I constantly hear from people. Well, I really can't afford to hire an employee. Did you just not pay for a service, but it was cheap labor? Your definition is that you can't afford to pay somebody, but you just paid somebody, and this person that you just paid who is not inside your company. The reason that we don't have international companies is because the founders, the CEOs, and the officers of these companies, if you're going offshore and you're hiring somebody from a different country, the two biggest countries that I know of right now that are being hired are from India and then from China. If you're hiring them, and you say, well, I'm only paying them for the service, the issue is you have your company is not complete. What you should be doing is this: how do I get that person to be part of my company? Because you're trying to be an international. See, some people don't see it that way. What they're doing is, I'm only building my company so I can sell a product. So you're a sales associate. You have a company, but you're really a sales associate. But that's not your background. And then you'll have a technical background to it. So you have somebody in India that you subbing out some of your work to for your IT. You got somebody in China that's subbing out for manufacturing your product. Let me just explain something to you. 9 out of 10 business fail. And they fail for this reason. They fail because you're paying individuals who are outside your company and they get paid, but you lack in making any money. You lack. So I gave a tip. To restate that tip, now I'm gonna go to tip number 2. The first tip is this: if you run into somebody and you're absolutely a foreigner, or you local, you're not a foreigner, you're a United States citizen, and a person needs some services done, you should automatically ask, are you looking for partners inside your organization? And if they say no, then you should take, okay, let me make sure I understand this correctly. You're not looking for somebody to be another officer, executive in your company, and you lack these skills yourself. So you're going out and you subbing and you're paying. And you say you can't afford to pay, but you are paying. Again, you can't afford to pay, but you are paying. You can afford to pay if you're paying. You need to understand that. This is why I always say that most business owners fail because, one, they're alone. 2, they're a partner. Both of those partners have low self-esteem. They're struggling. They're trying to accomplish things in their life, and they're doing it for more imagery. They're not doing it to really serve the world. Second, if you're a foreigner, you want to be part of that company. That's your quickest way to get in the US too, just so you know that. Here's tip number two. Tip number two is this. You cannot start a business if you're not going to hire the kids in your local community or come into your local community, the adults. Don't start a business if you're not going to do that. Don't start a business so you can get a job. You're just going to be a sales associate. You might as well stay on a job and then build the characteristics up so you can get to that point where you can actually build a company. And just so we're very clear, if you take a Navy ship and untie it and you're the only person in that ship, you're going to tear the port up trying to get out that dock. You're going to tear it up. How are you going to tear it up? Because it takes multiple people to get a Navy vessel out of dock. It takes multiple people to get your company up and running so you get to the point where you can end up in a company's 401k plan, IRA plan, period. And if you're not willing to go through that step to grow your company, then you really need to rethink your whole reason for even starting one. Because if it's to get a job and you don't have certain skills, and just so you know, the reason that we were not created with all the skills is because we are meant to interact with people. So the whole idea of someone saying, well, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. I just want you to know, if you keep your mouth shut, nobody knows who you are. I can't tell if you're an introvert or extrovert. If I close my mouth right now in this live stream, how you gonna know what my personality type is? And as I'm talking on this live stream, you may say, oh, he probably an extrovert, or you don't know what I am. And most people who say they're introvert prove that by remaining that way. However, if you take them in a set and they're around certain people that they're comfortable with, you can't tell what they are because they laughing, joking. Some of them, the life of the party, you put alcohol in them. They're the life of the party. Now, how come that's important? Because you're thinking about starting a business, but you're also saying I'm a subcontract out certain work because I don't have those gifts and talents. It means your company is not yet to the point where it's growing. You started a company, but you didn't build it yet, because a company that's built has all the experience inside of it, where you have to know that a company is not created for third-party interests. What's third-party interest? Third party means another person comes, dictates your operations, takes money, and then you still ain't make none yet. That's what people are starting today. They're starting companies where they're paying everybody else, but they don't know how to make money themselves. So they run out of money. Now keep this in mind. If that's what you want to do, tip number 3 is don't do it. Don't. You work too hard to save even $5, $6, or $7,000. And then what you do in return is you pay that out to start a business. Well, let me just be honest. You have the appearance of a business, you have the mindset. Don't get me wrong. If you start a business, you started one, but maintaining it is your issue. A company is not created for third-party interests. So as soon as you subcontract aspects of your internal workings out, third-party creeped in. When you look at organizations, imagine this, and I try not to always use sports terms, but I have no choice in this example because I don't know how to express it if I don't. Imagine if an NFL team, which they have to have a roster, and there's a reason for the roster, because everybody that plays on the team, those positions have to be filled. And if that position is not filled, they bring in a free agent. But that free agent comes and they join the team. They will actually trade to get certain positions filled so that team has everything it needs in order to compete in the league that they're playing in. I don't care if it's baseball, basketball, football, if it's anything that has to do with a team sport. Now, I'm not talking about individual sports, but a team sport. So what are they going to do? They're going to go through the process to incorporate the skills that they need to work within that so they can win championships. When you started a company, how are you going to win a championship? You may be the quarterback. Where's your receivers? Where's your linebackers for defense? They don't exist. I would love to tell you that I could start a company and run it by myself, but I'm only going to be a sales associate for that company because I cannot run a legal entity that is listed on the Securities and Exchange Commission that ends up in people's 401k plans as one person. I just can't. Can I run a small company that is started with a few friends? Yes, notice I said it was a few friends, but can I go and file in the state level a company Yes, I can. Can I operate that company by myself? No. Somebody else will be watching this say, man, you crazy. I can operate a company by myself. Okay, let me tell you what you're doing. The stimulus that is passed in Congress is for a legal entity that can go out and hire employees. And you say, I want to run a company by myself. So they pass a stimulus. It's not for you. It's not for you. In order for you to retire and move to the board of directors, how do you have a board of directors if it's just one person? Okay, you may argue and say, I bring in my own board of director. Okay, so you bring in your own board of directors. They all volunteer. They don't have an incentive to really stop you because they know they don't have a stake. And until they have a stake, you really don't. You can listen to some of their opinions. You may even incorporate it, but you're going to sub everything out for your business. How's that going to affect you? You're not going to do very well. I meet a lot of individuals, and when I do, they always have some type of concept, some belief. Well, I don't do well working with people. That's a personal development skill. If you don't do well, die. I tell people that. What do you mean? I'm not telling you kill yourself. By no means am I insinuating that. Die to your stiff-necked, self-centered behind thinking that you can't work with people, because you can. You go into a grocery store, you get gas, you buy food, you order it. So you're constantly interacting with people. What you're really saying is, I don't want nobody to tell me what I have to do. Well, that happens every time you put your credit card in anything. It's going to tell you what to pay, scan this. If you go to self-checkout line, you're being told what to do by electronics. Again, all of this has to do with the concept and how you're thinking. If you're going to think wrong, you're going to react wrong, you're going to say wrong things, and at the end, you're going to pay for it. So my tips for anybody on this testing of the live stream is really just to test the live stream, get a little, understand who I am as Primo Galicia, one of the hosts of the CFS shows. As the host of the CFS show, not one, but one of the hosts of the CFS show. I do Primo talks here at CFS Studios. I deal with businesses. I'm in the fourth division of banking. Now, you say, what in the world is fourth division of banking? First division of banking is where you go for checking and saving, where you can go get a credit card loan. You open up accounts so you can get your direct deposits. You may even go to first division of banking to get your first car loan. So that's first division of banking, or a mortgage loan for your home. The second division of banking is if you have a LLC, or you have a C Corp, or you have a C or an LLC that uses subchapter S, which you get from the IRS, which is an exemption for the way that you'll be taxed. So you'll have an LLC in the state, and then you'll file a subchapter S with the IRS that when you file for an EIN. Now, that a subchapter S is not subjective to one legal entity. It can be thrown on top of anything else. But I would tell you this is it has its place, but it has no place if you're going to be going public, because a subchapter S filing an exemption with the IRS, you can't publicly trade that. So if you're creating a company for a scale to remain private for the rest of your life and remain really as a small niche private organization, that's what you will file. The reason that I pointed that out, because you're looking at some things that you need to have an understanding is you can't grow a company that has limitations. There's only so big you can get. And that's the reason that very few private companies are buying out public traded companies. They don't have one don't have a pocket. Two, that public traded company valuation is too high. Now, with everything I just shared with you, one of the things that I just wanted to address before I disconnect on this temporary live stream that I was testing out so I can see how it works, because as we first started this is some of the exciting things that we're doing. Will I ever do another live stream other than the videos I normally do? Most likely. But I might not do it in this format because I am definitely just talking. I didn't have necessarily a script written up. I just wanted to come, talk, have a conversation, see how the live stream works, see how the interactions go. But most importantly is to let you see who I am. Some of you are maybe looking for an individual who can guide you in the right direction. You say, well, I don't really have anybody that I know who's successful. And now let me just tell you this. Outside of YouTube, completely outside of YouTube, I run listed traded companies. So I'm not a person that's on YouTube who has a click funnel, who has any of that. I actually run legitimate companies that are in people's 401k plans. So for me, it's a little different. I think during COVID allowed for me to really take a step back and say, and talk to the board of directors, get permission, because yes, as a person who's an executive in a company, I have a board that I got to report to, And when you have a board you have to report to, you definitely can't go out in the social public, not today, not in cancel culture USA, make statements, talk about political politics, and affect the company's operation with you being in a top position. So I have no reason to do that. But I do have a reason to help young CEOs who one day may want to run a public traded company or start, grow, get established. Because the fourth division of banking, which I'm in, because I talked about the first two. The first one is checking accounts, saving accounts. You get direct deposit, a debit card, a credit card, car loan, or home loan. That's the first division. Division two, that is if you have an LLC or C Corp. Division three is underwriting. Once you meet the criteria to be listed on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, you have to have 3 to 5 banks underwrite you. We know about JP Morgan, we know about Wells Fargo, we know about you have what you saw, Goldman Sachs, Berkshire Hathaway, so Berkshire Hathaway, they are all third division of banking. Now, fourth division of banking are the companies that actually get people prepared in order to meet the criteria to be filed and be underwritten by Division three. So I'm in the fourth division of banking. I'm not first, second, third. I don't do any underwriting for public traded companies, but I do fourth division of bankings. I assist companies who found their companies, get them to meet their state, their federal, and then they can get meet the criteria to be listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, and then they go off and end up in people's 401k plans. That's what I do for a living. Primo Talk is all about really getting people with the right mindset so they can be stewards of capital, service of people. Now, if you looking at being an investor, as far as trading, swing trading, and any of those things as well, yes, I do have those type of conversations, especially when a person is going for retail trading or a person is starting a company, so that a retail trader one day may be able to study their company and then trade. All of those opportunities I can explain. But I wanted to come on the show today, wanted to talk on a live stream because first of all, this is our first live stream we ever done. This is the first time we've ever took this opportunity to utilize this feature. We started our channel back in 2020, but it wasn't until June of 2021 is when we started really focusing on growing this channel for educational purposes. Now, you may say to yourself, I'm young. I would love to get involved in an early stage company. I've always heard about it, but I have never been invited to an early stage company. What do I have to do to learn how to get involved in an early stage company? Then this channel is definitely going to be a good channel for you, because a person who starts a legal entity and they're dealing with the fourth division of banking, people who can assist them in making sure they meet the requirements in order to be listed and underwritten to one day ring a bell at either the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. If that is one of your goals in life, then our channel will be for you. Is our channel for entrepreneurs? Yes. Is our channel for investors? Yes. However, I need to put a disclaimer out there. It's not the average entrepreneur and it's not the average investor. That is not what CFS Studios is for. CFS Studios is the media outlet for a VC firm, venture capital firm, which is a part of the fourth division of banking. But our channel is to develop CEOs who would actually grow, build their companies, assist other people to get involved in the company so that they can one day run a public traded company, if not be part of the early stage of going public. Now, do I expect that some of the people who will watch our channel would take that initiative? Well, yes, because the whole goal of this is to, if I can help 5 or 6 lineage, notice I didn't say people, I said lineage. If I can help 5 to 6 lineage representatives, whether it's a male or a female, allocate their funds better, do they have to get in an early stage company? Not necessarily. But if I can help them allocate their resources better, then I would love that. As a person who talks to adults on a continual basis, because that's what I do for a living, I always want to make sure that they pay attention to allocation of funds. Now, you have a choice to make in your life. Do you want to be a person who allocate and turn $1 into $3? What do I mean by turning ones into threes? That's called buying power. When you could take $1 and turn it into $3 in a 12-month basis, you increase your buying power. Our channel really teaches individuals how to increase their buying power. When you think about the word investor. What does that really mean to you? Most business owners are constantly investing in their inventory. They turn cash. And today, if you're a business owner and you actually investing in inventory, what you mean is you're turning $1 into 70 cents because of the inflation of 30% right now. But if you're a CEO or a business owner, you should be turning ones into threes because we're in an inflationary period. Our channel definitely would assist in that. One of our goals by the end of this year is to help more investors meet CEOs and get involved and partner up so they can actually change the world. So that's what our channel is going to focus on. It's going to be developing. If you see it now, we have a series that came out. I'm thankful for the team as they put it out called "The Making of an American Investor." That whole series is taking college kids. We're going to have a series where we're taking college kids, adults, and then preparing them mentally, physically, introducing them to individuals who have founded companies who one day may take a company public or remain private, but at the same time, they're growing and they're running and changing the footprint of America. That's the whole goal, is to introduce those two things together and make sure that they're perfect fits so they can meet GDP, job and housing. So if you want to know more, definitely stay tuned. Like I said, I was testing the live stream out, seeing how it looks. We've never done it before, but today was the first day. And I just want to tell you that I may do this again. Stay tuned, continue to support. I want to thank, Anderson. I want to thank Hampton for, out there posting on the side, leaving a comment. For those who didn't leave a comment, next time you step in, throw a question up there. I'll answer it live. You get a direct answer. I won't sidestep it. If you're a foreigner and you're not native to the United States and people are subcontracting you to do work, ask about taking a stake in the company, change your life, change your future, change your lineage. Most people are not bold enough to ask the question, so they can't get direct answers. I'm telling you to ask it because you need it, especially if you ever want to be able to make your family wealthy where you live outside the U.S. Other than that, I hope everyone has a blessed, powerful day and do very well. Be a steward of your time, resource, and money. Have a great day.